On the day of the 35th anniversary of the Heysel disaster, May the 29th, the day before the originally scheduled Champions League final, it was announced that the Champions League final is going to be moved over from Istanbul over to another location. According to the New York Times, Istanbul cannot afford to host the game. With that being said, it was Lisbon that is reportedly the top candidate to take over hosting duties. This has to do with the fact that Lisbon is over at Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo's home country, and the fact that the last time the Champions League was hosted by Lisbon, Portugal, occurred during Cristiano Ronaldo's first Champions League title with Real Madrid. He's going to win his first Champions League title with Juventus at the same city of his first Champions League title with Real Madrid. He's going to win his first Champions League titles with both Real Madrid and Juventus over at Lisbon. He's going to win his sixth Champions League final 6 years from the time of the first final over at Lisbon in 2020. The first one was held at Stadio da Luz, the home of Benfica. It's not going to be held at that stadium. Benfica is a club located in Lisbon. It's going to be the other stadium that is going to host the final. It is going to be the home of Cristiano Ronaldo's first club team that is going to host the Champions League final. There you see Cristiano Ronaldo pictured with CP Sporting of Portugal. That was Cristiano Ronaldo's first club at age 12. At age 12, before moving on to Manchester United, he went on a 3-day trial with Sporting CP, who signed him for a fee of £1,500. This occurred in 1997. 1997 is a 26 year. In Gematria, it is the original scheduled site, Istanbul, that equals 26. We are going to see a treble winner win the Champions League this season. It's the club that's going to win the Scudetto. That was part of the plan to win the Champions League final at Istanbul. It was all coded to show you who was the pick before the season. It is interesting, though, that it is the site Lisbon that has gematria of 26. Now, a candidate to score a goal, an unorthodox player, would be Alexandro, because it's Sandro that has the same gematria as Lisbon. The interesting thing about Alexandro was that he first played with Porto. They were also a Portuguese club. So Alexandro spent 3 years at Portugal before joining Juventus. This is why he's going to be a major candidate to score in the Champions League final over at Lisbon this year. It's the virus that first hit Italy. Virus is 26. Midfielder Miralem Pjanic has gematria of 26. We are going to see Kylian Mbappe in the Champions League final. If not at Istanbul, then yes, over at Lisbon. The site of the Champions League final is actually going to be over at Estadio José Alvalade, named after the founder and first club member of Sporting CP. So this stadium right here is where the Champions League final is going to be held at. Estadio José Alvalade. A capacity of close to 50,000 people, 9,000 more people than the Juventus Stadium. The owner of that stadium is Sporting Club de Portugal. The fact that Ronaldo played his games there with Sporting CP is why the Champions League final for 2020 is going to be held over there in tribute of Cristiano Ronaldo this year over at Lisbon. Once again, history repeats itself. Juventus is 2-7 in the final. They're going to beat Lazio for the Scudetto. They're going to beat Paris Saint-Germain in the final. Aaron Ramsey is going to help Juventus win at midfield with his creativity. The Italian word for Lisbon is Lisbona. Lisbona has gematria of 27. The team that's going to win over there is going to be the team with the 2-7 record in the Champions League final. And so 3-7 in the final, and like I've said before, Juventus is playing Olympique Lyonnais right now. Lyonnais has gematria of 109 and 37. It is La Jolla, the duo Paulo Dybala, that is going to lead them to victory over at Portugal. The team from Torino is going to be 3-7 in the final when it's all said and done after playing Leones. The journey to the stadium of Sporting Club de Portugal all begins with Leones La Joya de Bala is going to be winning the Champions League final with Juventus, scoring an amazing curving free kick from the corner, a world-class player right in front of our eyes. The journey to Club Portugal, Sporting de Portugal, began for Ronaldo at 12 years of age. He moved to Alcochete from Madeira, where he first came from. It's Alcochete in Lisbon that had the same gematria of 72. And I cannot believe I forgot to enter this in the calculator. Not only is it Lisbona that equals 72 and 27, but it is the first name of Mbappe, Kylian, that has gematria of 72 and 27. So I fully expect Paris Saint-Germain to play in the Champions League final, with Paris Saint-Germain being runner-up in the final because Buffon beats France for both the World Cup and the Champions League. The final is going to be held at Portugal. Portugal is 110 and 38. It's Paulo Dybala that's going to be a goal scorer in the Champions League final. How about starting goalkeeper Wojciech Szczesny? Szczesny has the same gematria as Portugal. It's Douglas Costa that has gematria of 38. Now, it is also Sami Khedira. Khedira has gematria of 38 in the calculator. Here's Khedira. Khedira's gematria of 38. He's a midfielder. Sami Khedira is going to be with Juventus over at Portugal. It is also Douglas Costa in addition to Khedira that has Pythagorean gematria of 38. The same gematria as the site of the Champions League final. Now, Buffon won his World Cup at Germany against France. Germany equals 38. If it's not Portugal, then Buffon would win the Champions League and the World Cup over at Germany. The fact that he won the World Cup at Germany means that this 38 reference has to do with winning his other club, with his other major trophy over at a different site with nonetheless the same corresponding gematria as the same place that he won the World Cup at. It is Juventus Football Club. It is Lisbon, Portugal. It is Go Ronaldo, Forzad Ronaldo, that has gematria of 64. It is Mr. Alvalade. In Italian gematria, Sir is Signore. Signore Alvalade has gematria of 64. It is Juve that is going to be winning the Champions League final at Lisbon, Portugal, after 64 prior Champions Leagues. This is where you're getting the gematria of Buffon in La Joya. It is the city of Lisbon, Portugal, in Portuguese gematria that equals 96. Juventus last won the Champions League in 1996. They win the 2020 Champions League final 24 years later. Cristiano Ronaldo won the last Champions League final at Lisbon on the 24th day of May. May is significant because Juventus have lost 5 Champions League finals since 1996. It will be their 5th final since 1996, I should say. And now what 24 has to do, the 24th day that Real Madrid won in 2014, is that Juventus equals 24, and they're going to end a 24-year Champions League title drought with a banker. Banker has gematria 51 and 24. And continuing on in the gematria calculator, it is the city of Lisbon, Portugal, in Italian gematria that equals 107. 107 is also the gematria of Campeonato, Scudetto, as I showed you before, and José Alvalade, who the stadium is named after, has gematria of 107 as well. Lisbon, Portugal has gematria of 77. Gianluigi Buffon wears the number 77. I've always wondered what the number 77 was all about. August the 29th, the final is going to still be played on that date, in my opinion. August the 29th of 2020, as of the 77. The final now we know is going to be held at Lisbon, Portugal, and that is where Gianluigi Buffon is going to win the Champions League final at. And so groundbreaking stuff. Really groundbreaking stuff. Now, Jose Alvalade, who the stadium was named after, he was born on October the 10th of 1885. He died at 33 years of age. It is the winner of the Champions League final at that stadium, Juventus FC, and owner Agnelli and Buffon have gematria of 33. And now, Jose Alvalade was born on October the 10th. The interesting thing about October the 10th is that the first time Gianluigi Buffon played at Portugal in Europe with Juventus came on October the 10th of his first season in 2001. This was the first time that Buffon played at the country of Portugal as a member of Juventus. October the 10th of 2001, as of the 41, the last Champions League title for the Bianconeri occurred in the 41st edition of the Champions League. This is why Gianluigi Buffon, this was the day that Jose Alvalade was born on, the first time that Buffon played in Europe over at the country of Portugal with Juventus. Now, Buffon started out his career with Parma. His first ever European appearance actually did come in the country of Portugal. Buffon made his European debut in a 2-0 defeat to Vitória de Guimarães on the 24th day of September 1996, aged 18 years and 240 days. Now, he made his debut on the 24th day. This is how you know, at the same country where he made his European debut with Parma over at Portugal, Ronaldo's going to win the Champions League at that same country over at Portugal. So that is the meaning of September the 24th, his first ever European appearance over at the country of Portugal. Now, why 240 days after his birthday? Well, the day of the Champions League final, August the 29th, is the 241st day of the year, meaning that in a normal year that's not a leap year, there are 240 prior days. That is the meaning of August the 29th. Now, you can also add up August the 29th in relation to his birth year, which is 1978. And then you can add up the singular digits to derive further meaning. And that's the gematria of championship. Campionato is the champions is I campioni. I campioni equals 44. And so there's Buffon's first European appearance over at Portugal. The next thing I needed to show you was... So I showed you May the 24th of 2014. Well, if Ronaldo happens to win the final over at Lisbon in 2014, in 2020, that adds up to the gematria of Ronaldo, because Ronaldo has gematria of 34. So very interesting what 2014 can tell us about this. 2019, 2020 is a 59 season in numerology until the end. Don't give up on the season. Continue the season until the end. We're going to see that theme a lot with Juventus this year. Fino alla fine equals 59. In gematria, it is also the city of Lisbon that has gematria 59. So the Juventus slogan, Fino alla fine, is going to apply to the city of Lisbon to fight until the end, all the way to the Champions League final over at Lisbon, Portugal. And nonetheless, it would be 24 years after Ronaldo's Gianluigi Buffon's first appearance in Europe. He would win the Champions League 24 years later. So it just so and so happens to be at around the same time that Juventus won the Champions League. Recall in the calculator that it is Lisbon that has gematria of 71. The amount of time from Gianluigi Buffon's birthday to the day of the Champions League, August the 29th, 7 months and 1 day. That is the gematria of Lisbon in English gematria in relation to Gianluigi Buffon's birthday. And we can do the same for Alexandro. As a matter of fact, he was born on the 26th day of the year. That is the gematria of Lisbon and also Istanbul. So Alexandro doesn't have to score a goal. It just means that he's going to be all over the place, setting players up with crosses from the left side. If he doesn't score a header or whatnot, or a big shot outside the box, then for sure he's going to be heavily involved in the attack, setting up Cristiano Ronaldo and Higuain and other players in the box. And then we have September the 24th, the day that Buffon made his Champions League debut, with the day that Juventus won the Champions League final, last won the title on May the 22nd, which May the 22nd adds up to 27. That is also the gematria of Lisbon is 27. So they're definitely going to win at Lisbon. The amount of time from May the 22nd to September the 24th, the day that Buffon made his European debut in Portugal, is under 25. Is 4 months and 2 days. That is the gematria of PSG. Gianluigi Buffon is 42 years of age. It is Juventus that wear the Freemasonic black and white stripes. It is Freemason that's 96 and 42. The day that this stadium was constructed, Sporting Club de Portugal, Estadio José Alvalade, Lisbon, Portugal, 38 degrees north. The gematria Paulo de Bala and Douglas Costa, Sami Khedira, Wojciech Szczesny, opened on August the 6th of 2003, the year of Gianluigi Buffon's first Champions League final against AC Milan, the 2003 Champions League final against AC Milan, which was played on May the 28th. And so the amount of time from the day that Buffon lost his first final in 2003 to the stadium that opened, is there any significant relationship with that? We can check that out as well. Just narrowing down the tabs here, everybody. This is a long presentation. August the 6th. Let me do that. Whoops. That's 71 days. That's the gematria of Lisbon. That's 10 weeks later. Juventus begins with the 10th letter. Founded in the year of the rooster, number 10 in the Chinese zodiac. This is 71 days when you include the end day. So literally 71 days after the final, this stadium at Lisbon opened for the first time since Gianluigi Buffon and Juventus lost the Champions League final in 2003, August the 6th, in relation to the day that Juventus FC was founded, November the 1st of 2013. Is a time span of 89 days. Is that the gematria virus? I'm certain that is. Or it's just 87 days, I should say. And then August the 6th, in Ronaldo's birthday, February the 5th, the relationship between the new stadium of Porto, of Sporting CP, and Cristiano Ronaldo's birthday. So Ronaldo in 2003, 26 weeks later, 182 days from February the 5th to the day that the stadium broke ground, August the 6th of 2003. That's 26 weeks, the Gematria of Lisbon. And now 182 days is the fact that it is the city of Lisbon that has Gematria of 182. So no doubt about it, this means that things are holding up to see. And you just have to go back to before the lockdown. Juventus have 63 points in the table right now. That's the Gematria of Paris. That's the Gematria of Lazio. Their first point since coming back from the coronavirus break is going to be against Bologna. Bologna 66-30. Corona 66-30. Their last game came against Inter on March the 8th. March the 8th is 3-8. 38 is the Gematria of Portugal, where the Champions League final is going to be held at. This is why their last game was on March the 8th. They had everything to do with the final changing to a different venue. And notice the amount of time from March the 8th, Juventus and Inter, to Saturday, August the 29th. There's a time span of, you guessed it, 5 months and 22 days. And now 5 months and 22 days can connect to the fact that it's May the 22nd. That can be written out as 5-22. And now Inter, the last Italian team to win the Champions League, won on May the 22nd of 2010. So this is why this 5 months, 22 day duration is actually going to be really significant to the last match between the coronavirus delay and the proposed date to play the Champions League final. But the final is going to be held at Lisbon, over at the home country of Cristiano Ronaldo, over at the city where Ronaldo first played at. The 2014 final came over at the stadium of Benfica. This time around, I actually do expect Cristiano Ronaldo to return home at the Sporting Club de Portugal to win the Champions League over at the stadium of his first club, CP Sporting of Portugal. CP Sporting has Gematria 56. Coronavirus has Gematria 56. I can see why the venues are going to be changed. It's Forza Buffon. It's Forza Gianluigi. It's Forza GG Buffon that has Gematria of 155. I gotta go back and look at that reference. I have so many of them. So many of them. Okay, Forza Gianluigi. Gematria of Germany. Forza Gianluigi. The coronavirus outbreak hitting Italy. It's just the odd year that Gianluigi Buffon wins the Champions League. It would probably have to be under these circumstances. Interesting enough, it just adds to the dynamic of the legend of Gigi Buffon, that he doesn't quit and he fights until the end. And this obsession and in this struggle to win a Champions League with Europe, the fact that Juventus don't win under a season normally played, just now we're going to be talking about the asterisk with it, and that's really where we're going with this as we go towards the fourth Champions League title of Juventus. And people are going to be like, hey, without a delay in play, with fans in the stands, it's like, are Juventus going to crumble under pressure in a normal season? And that's ultimately what's going to happen once we look back at this Champions League.